Hi everyone. We are going to wait 1 minute and we will start, okay? Let me check if everything works. Hi everyone. Okay. Okay, it seems everything's working fine. So I think we are going to start. So yeah, welcome everyone to this new series of webinars about developing software without coding. Okay, we are going to use this tool called Doyo, and that stands for do your own software, do your own apps, do your own websites. So Doyo is a platform, what they say no code or low code platform that allows you to create a professional software without programming or without having the need of having previous programming skills. Okay, so well, for those of you who knew Coducer, I have to say that Doyo is the evolution of Coducer. Okay, so maybe you tried in the past Coducer. It was a super powerful tool, but it was not really easy to learn. Okay, so a lot of people said that it was a bit difficult. So at the beginning they got lost and they didn't want to learn because they thought it was difficult. Okay, it was not difficult, but for starters it was a bit difficult to know the path at the beginning, right? So, well, in 2 months ago, we changed the name from Codoser to Doyo. It was not only a change of name or brand, it was a full change in the product. Okay, so we started focusing a lot on making the interface much easier for you, so that if you start using Doyo, you will see that it's super easy to use and super powerful at the same time. Okay, so we are going to start this series of webinars. So every week we will, I will keep teaching you new things about Doyo. So after some chapters, you will master how to use Doyo and you will be able to create professional software without programming. Okay, because Doyo is very powerful. With Doyo you can, I mean, it's not only about, there are a lot of app builders or web builders out there that you just take some templates or you just combine some elements and customize some things. Okay, but Doyo is more like a software development tool without programming. Okay, so you have a huge flexibility and you have a lot of power to add logic and add some algorithms to your project. Okay, but without coding. Okay, so if you want to compare, there are some other tools like Bubble or Webflow that they are in the same segment, maybe. Okay, because I mean they say that they are no code. Okay, but the thing is that they are not drag and drop, just drag and drop. Okay, they are, I mean, you have to think like a programmer in order to master Bubble or Webflow. Okay, so Dojo is basically in the same direction. Okay, so it's no code, but you will need to start using some techniques like programmers do, but you won't do any programming. Okay, but I mean in terms of logical thinking, things like that. But after some training, you will see that you can create professional, super professional software with Dojo. Okay, I mean, like for example, if you want to create apps, native apps for Android, iOS, or you want to create websites and React websites, you can also do that. For example, if you have a company with the delivery guys and you want to know where all the deliveries are in real time on a map, things like that. Okay, you can do these kind of things with Dojo. Okay, real-time databases, user authentication, real-time maps, databases, access to APIs. Okay, I mean you have super powers to create your software with Dojo. Okay, so since I was comparing with Babel and Webflow, I have to say that there are some differences. Okay, those tools are basically for creating websites. You can create websites for mobile devices, but they are always websites. Okay, and sometimes they are expensive, And also there's another thing that you cannot access the source code of your project with them. Okay, so Doyo is different because it's not only for creating websites. You can create React websites, but you can also do with Doyo mobile apps, native mobile apps. Okay, it's not a website that turns into mobile. Okay, I mean there are different things because Doyo is not an app builder or is not a web builder. I mean Doyo is a source code builder. Okay, so we take your project and we can create we will transform that into the source code of a website or the source code of a native app. Okay, and then we will build it and you will have the final executable file. Okay, so yeah, okay, so let's start. Well, you can create an account at doyo.tech for free. Okay, well, I already have my account, so today I'm gonna teach you how all the interface works. Okay, so it's going to be the first chapter in this series of webinars. So today I want to give you an overview of how Doyo works, our philosophy, and we will start testing a little bit. I mean, adding some images and do some kind of stuff. Okay, so first, after you log in, you will see this dashboard. Okay, here on the left you have some interesting links. Okay. I have to say sorry because I've been sick for 2 days, so my voice today is not going to be very cool. Okay, so here you have some helpful links to our documentation, to our YouTube channel, an official YouTube channels with tutorials, link to our Discord community. I really recommend you to join our Discord community because it's a super easy way to connect with us in case you have some doubts or you have some suggestions or you need some help. Okay, well, of course you can hire our services. We can develop the app or the website for you in case you don't have time to do it. You can send us feedback, connect with our Twitter, and also you have this link to custod.io, which is a tool from Doyo that allows you to store files in the cloud. Okay, in case you want to use those files for your projects. Okay, well, then you have a list of your projects here. Okay, well, I have a lot of projects in my account, and then here you have access to create a new project. So here you see web projects, mobile application projects, and Doyo flows, which I'm not going to talk a lot about flows today, but I mean, this is in case you already have a website, for example, and you want to be able to pop up content over your website without editing the source code of your website. Okay, so Doyo flows are library that you can insert to your website, and then you can just do pop-ups and things like that in your website. Okay, super powerful as well. So, well, today I'm going to start with a web project. Okay, I already did some tutorials regarding mobile apps projects. Okay, so since I already did that, I want to focus this series of webinars on building a website project. Okay, the philosophy is always the same. Okay, once you learn Doyo for websites, then you will know how to use Doyo for mobile apps. Okay, so it's basically the same, but I want to focus. I mean, there are slight differences between both types of projects. Okay, but I mean, the philosophy behind that is the same. Okay, so I'm going to start with a web project. Okay, so well, here we only have one template, but in the next weeks we are going to start adding more templates. Okay, so in case you want to start with some content or some design built, okay, you will be able to pick some templates. Okay, that's one of the things, because I told you that 2 months ago we changed the name and we wanted to make Doyo easier than Coducer. Okay, one thing is the interface. Now you'll see it's much easier than before, but also we want to help you, I mean, adding a lot of templates, so that will increase or reduce, sorry, the time that you will need to create your projects. Okay, and then we want to add some other things that will make things easier for you. Okay, but for now we only have this template. We can show you here. If you select one here and preview, This is this is super simple. This is only a landing page for promoting a mobile app. Okay, so click on next. Then you can pick a different color palette, or you can just click next. Okay, and here you have some options. Okay, in case you want to create a project and you want to use Firebase or online databases, or you want to use analytics, Stripe payments, or anything, you can activate it now and activate it and configure it. Okay, but if you're not sure yet, you can just click next, and you will be able to add that in the future. Okay, so then here you can add a name, webinar October 20th, for example. You can add a description and an icon. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now, so just create a project. Okay, and here we are. Okay, so let me explain all the different parts in our interface. Okay, if you knew Coducer already, then you will see some similarities here. I mean, the style, it's basically the same, but we have changed a lot of things. Okay, so now the preview here has bigger importance. Okay, it's basically the center of everything, and now it's going to be interactive. It wasn't interactive in the past, but now it is. Okay, so you can click things here and select them in order to edit its properties. So here on the left, well, you have the back button to go back to the dashboard, and then you have all the steps you need to create your project. Okay, first you have your resources in case you want to upload images, videos, and some other stuff. You have this section here, the resources. Then you have the edit option. That's where we are right now. So here's where we are going to build our project. Okay, then we have the style. So from here we can control the color palette of our project. Okay, this is very important because here's where we are going to add all the colors that we want to use in our project. And well, also the TTF fonts. We will talk about that later. Okay, then we have some settings here. So this is the main settings of your project, like the name, the title, description. And well, you have other options like the ones I told you before, like configuring Firebase, Stripe, databases. You can set it here. Okay, we're not going to do that right now. We will learn that in the coming episodes. Okay, but here is where you change like the main configuration of your project. And then you have the publish section. Here's, for mobile app projects, you can export it to APK or AAB files, IPA, or now that we are in this web project, we can export to web. So we will get the final, ready to publish zip file. So we can take that file and just uncompress it in your server, in your FTP server, or you can upload it to Amazon Amplify, for example. Okay, it's super easy to publish. Okay, in a few weeks you will be able to use our server. Okay, so in case you don't have a server, it's going to be even easier. Okay, you will be able to publish on Doyo. Okay, we will be using the Amazon infrastructure, so it will be super reliable. Okay, and elastic server. Okay, or you can get the source code. Okay, if you want to get the code of your app in case you want to keep editing your app with developers, then you can get the source code. Okay, and that's the other difference. I told you that I was comparing with Webflow or Babel. Okay, in those tools you cannot get the source code. Okay, but with Doyo you are able, since I told you Doyo is a source code builder. Okay, so if you create a project, you are going to be able to get the source code. For mobile projects, for mobile app projects, you will be able to get the Android source code, the Java code, and for iOS you will be able to get the Swift code, and for websites you are going to be able to get the React code. Okay, so in case, that's a super good thing about Doyo. Okay, so you are, normally in this industry, when you start using some no-code or low-code tool, you end up marrying with that tool. Okay, so if you want to hire some developers, some people create the MVP with these tools, and after some time they decide to start hiring developers, so they have to start from scratch again to create the project. Okay, what with Doyo, in case you need to hire a team of developers in the future because you are growing, I mean, super big, and you prefer to, I mean, to leave Doyo, you will be able to get the source code and just continue your project with developers. Okay, that's a super cool thing about Doyo. Okay, so these are our sections. Now, well, let's start editing. Okay, so well, we have, when we start editing, we have here some 4 things that we can edit. We can edit dialogues, we can edit menus, we can edit wrappers, and we can edit views. Okay, so today we're not going to talk about dialogues, nor menus, nor wrappers. Okay, and we are going to talk about views. Okay, by default we have this view, the home. Okay, so views basically are the different pages in our project. Okay, we call them views because, I mean, pages are for websites, but in the mobile app projects normally people call them screens or sections. Okay, but we think that views is a more general name. Okay, so views are pages or screens or I mean, it's all the same, they are views. Okay, so basically the views is where you are going to edit all the content in your app or your website. So well, from here you can select one, or you can add new views from this view, view 2. Okay, now here's view 2 and it's empty. Okay, let's go back to home view. So well, let's talk about what we have here. Well, basically you see 3 parts. You see the top bar with some buttons and with some breadcrumbs here. You have a undo button and redo button, and this is for changing the resolution of the visor. And here you have some buttons that says save, and you see this autosave option. Okay, so let's talk about this. The thing is that with Doyo, you are working, I mean, you are using your web browser, but you are working locally. Okay, all the changes that you make, they are going to be stored locally inside your browser's database. Okay, and well, and you can save that. I mean, you can download your project. If you click on download CDC, you will get this CDC file which contains your project. Okay, so I really recommend that you make copies from time to time. I mean, after you do a lot of changes, just download your CDC so you have a copy in your computer. Okay, and you can also save it to custod.io, which is our cloud system. So if you send it to custod.io, you can open custod.io. You see this folder called Coducer. We might change that in the future. It will be called Doyo. Now it's called Coducer, but anyway. And here you will see your project. Here, webinar. So here you have the CDC file. Okay. And well, if you have this activated, okay, this option, the autosave, so every 30 seconds after you make some change, I mean, your file will be sent to custod.io. Okay, so in case tomorrow you go to a different computer and you log into your account, then you will also have your project there. Okay, but anyway, it's also recommended to download the CDC file, because in case you delete your project by error or something, you can just go back here and just drop your CD file here in this box. Okay, that way you will be able to keep working on your project. Okay, so well, we have this top bar. Well, in the middle we have the visor. Okay, and it's interactive, so you can, in case you want to change some property, for example, if you want to change this text, you can just click on the text. Okay, and here you will change its properties. Okay, then here you have some 3 sections. You have the info section, you have the content section, and the events section. Okay, so in the info you have some configuration for the view. Okay, you have the ID. For example, this is the one called home. You can change to main, for example. Okay, so now here you have the main view. Okay, you have the title, which will be used here on the top. I mean, once you are browsing your project, I mean, this is the text that will appear here on the tab in your browser. You can select the wrapper. So let me try to explain what a wrapper is. So, well, basically here we are editing our view, which is the almost the full page. Okay. But imagine that you want to add some menu bar on the top, or some action bar, or you want to add a footer or some other things. Okay, and you are going to use that header or that action bar in different views. Okay, so you don't need to design that top bar in every view. You can create a wrapper which will have this footer and the header and some other things. Okay, and you can make different views use the same wrapper. Okay, so that way, I mean, it's going to be easier for you. Today we're not going to use any wrapper, just the default one. Okay, but in the next episodes we will start using some wrappers. Okay, then we have some other options like the history. I mean by default it's true. This is the navigation history. So if you click here and make it false, then this view won't be stored in the navigation history. Okay, so if you press back in some other page, this view won't be the one you will go back to. I mean, it will go back to the previous one, not this one. Okay, well, every time you add a property, you can delete it. In case you want to delete it, you can use this red button. Okay, so with the plus button you can add an icon, or this is also important, a private. Okay, so in case in your project you are adding user accounts and you want to make some views specific only for registered users, you can activate this private option. Okay, so in case this is private and the user is not registered, you can control the destination view that you want to take your users to. So go to settings, and here you have this option called default views. Okay, so you have the main view, which is home. Now it should be main, sorry. And the forbidden, I mean, this is the key that I was talking about. So you can, in case a main is private and some users not registered go to the main view, because since it's a web project, they can just change the URL on the top. Okay, so if they go to main, they put main in your project, for example, and it's forbidden. Here you are telling your project to take them to the view 2. Okay, and well, you can also configure the not found view in case they write some URL inside your domain that is not linked to any view in your project. Then you can take them to the main view, for example. Okay. Then we have here the content. Okay, this is there's a tree here with all the content, the same content that you see here in the visor. You have it here in this content tree. Okay, so we have this here because it's easier to move things or to add things. So from here you can add content. Okay, every time you have this plus button in case you want to add content, but you can also move content easily. Instead of using the visor for moving content, you can use this. See, or you can clone it. Okay, you see, you can delete it. Okay, yeah, basically this is what the content tree is for. Okay, or if you select some element, for example this image or this text, you see there's a green box around the overview text. Okay, so this is helpful so that you know what element, what component is the one you are moving your mouse over. Okay, so if you click here, you can edit its properties. So it's the same. You can click here on the tree, or you can click on the visor to select some text. Okay, and once you select some component, you can edit here its properties, like the text, the size, a lot of things. Okay, we will talk about that later. And finally, we have here the events, and this is where Doyo gets really powerful. Okay, here's where you are going to start coding, because I mean the content is only for this. I mean for designing your project, right? For putting images, text, videos, and everything on the screen. Okay, that's not programming. But here with the events is where you are going to start adding logic and making your software being a real software, okay, or a professional software. So with events, you click on an event, for example, in the onloaded. This is when the view is loaded. This will launch a series of functions. Okay, we are not going to talk about functions today, but this is where you are going to add the logic for your project. Okay, for example, you can do things like, when the user clicks on this button, I want to add some content to my remote database, or I want to go to a different view, or I want to do some calculations, or there are quite huge set of functions that you can use in order to create the logic of your project. Okay, but we will talk about this in the next episodes. Okay, not today, because this is where Doyo is going to get serious. Okay, so today I just want to give you an overview about how everything works. Okay, so okay, so well, let's go to the view 2, and let's just start adding content, and I will explain how to use how to design the content and how to add resources and everything. Okay, so well, we are going to start adding the title, this view, for example. We will use the default wrapper, and we are going to start adding content. So let's add an image. Well, this is all the different types of components that you can add. You see there are a lot of them, but I'm going to use an image. Okay, so by default it takes the first image you have in your project. Okay, well, by default we have some images here, so this is the one that it took by default. Okay, so we can change it. We can change the size, we can change the content. So let's start with the content, how to change the image, or how can I add my own content to Doyo. Okay, so it's super easy. For example, I have here some I think I have some picture. Yeah, this one, for example. Okay, so you can just drag and drop it to Doyo here. You can drop it here, and you'll see that it's here. Okay, here's my picture. So if I go back to the view 2, I can edit this image, click on it, and here remove this, and here are all your resources. So I'm going to use, I think it was land.vg, this one. Okay, so here's my picture. Then there are other different ways you can add content, because I mean, if you drag and drop the content directly into Doyo, all the files will be located here in the root, okay, in the res folder. But I would recommend that you use folders in order to organize your content. Okay, so you can do things like this. You can take the whole folder and drop it here. Okay, so you see now the folder with all the images. And in case you want to add a new folder, you can just click here on res, on the plus button, add the name of your folder, like image, and and drop it here. Okay, so now we have the image folder and we have our picture here. So let's delete it from here and change the name to image/.bg. Okay, so that's the way you add resources. Okay, so now let's talk about the properties. So every component has a box. Okay, so imagine that all the components are boxes that have content inside. Okay, so you can change the properties of those boxes. Okay, so regardless the type of content you add, I mean, no matter if it's an image or a text or a input box or something, okay, they all have some dimension. Okay, so it's like a box that has some content, so you can change the size of that box. For example, now I have this image that is, its width is 100%. This means that it's as wide as its parent view. Okay, so here, I mean, the parent component of this image is the screen. Okay, so this, yeah, it means that this image is 100% of the screen. So you can do it 50%. Okay, now you see. Or you can use absolute values. Okay, in case you don't want to use percentage, but you want to use pixels, you can use, for example, 400. Okay. Then you have the height. Let's make it bigger. Then you have the height. By default, it's wrap. Wrap means auto. Okay, so it will keep the ratio of this image, but you can define a different height for like 200. Okay, so it's deformed. In case you don't want to deform it, you can use sorry, the scale option. Okay, and you have different values. You can use the contain. Okay, so it will scale the image so that it fits all the, I mean, all the content is inside the box. You can use the crop. Okay, this is not working on the visor, but this option will scale your image and crop it. Okay, so it will be centered in your box, but without deforming the image. Or you can use the fill, which will deform it. Okay, let's make it wrap again. Then you have some other options that are common for all the components, like H align. You can put it on center or the end. Well, you also have the V align, which is for vertical alignment. Okay, but this only works if the image or the component it's inside an horizontal container. Okay, so not now. I will talk about containers later. Well, then you can add borders, you can add radius, like 15. Okay. Okay, in case you want to add some radius corners. You can add a background. And I mean, there are some options. We will talk not about all of them, but we will talk about some of them. For example, you can add some margin. Okay, you see now you have margin around the component, or you can add margin only in some dimensions. Like, well, let me show you. I click on this plus button. Instead of having just one number, if you click on this plus button, you will have an object with different dimensions. Okay, you have the top margin, or you can add a start margin, and you can make it like bigger. Okay. And well, you have margin, and you have also padding, which is internal margin. Okay, so let me add the background first. Okay, now you don't see the background because the image is hiding the background, but let me show you. Adding some padding, which is an internal margin between the bounds of the box of the component and the content. So if you add some, let's say 50 padding, you see now you have this internal margin. Okay. Well, you can keep adding components. I mean, if you click in this clone button, you can, now you have scroll. Okay. And then you can change, I mean, every image. Okay. Well, if you see that every time you copy one component or you add a new component, all of them are arranged vertically. Okay, so if you keep adding components, they are always put vertically. Okay, so what if you want to put one component next to another one? Okay, then you can create a group. Okay, so a group has these properties, and one of these properties is the orientation. So by default, a group has a vertical orientation. That means that if you put content inside that group, it will be arranged vertically, but you can change that. You can change this to horizontal. Okay, so now I'm going to start adding images to this group. So let me take this image, drop it here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. Okay, now I have, you see, well, since this one doesn't have scroll, I can now, if you activate the scroll for the group, then you can do some horizontal scrolling. If you deactivate it, then it won't have scroll. Okay, so this is how you can put components, I mean, arrange horizontally. Okay, but what if you want to make a responsive website? So, well, let's remove these images first. I'm going to keep only this one. Well, this group is 100% of width. So I'm going to change the width of this image, the first one. Instead of 800, I'm going to use the word fill. Okay, this means that my image is going to try to take all the space available in its container. Okay, so if I clone this image, since the other one also has a fill width, they are going to try to share the space, so they are going to span as much as possible, so they will, I mean, they will be the same width. Since they are going to push the other ones, they are going to have the same width. So now we have another option. So imagine that we want to have the first image fill, but with a maximum width. Okay, you can use this max width parameter, and let's say we want to use 300. Okay, so the first one is going to try to take all the space available, but with a maximum of 300. Okay, so the other two images are going to try to fill the space available. So they are going to be the same size because they are filled, okay, but with all the space available. So since the first one is limited to 300, I mean, the space available is going to be higher. Okay, so instead of max width, in case you want to make some design responsive, so it works on mobile phones as well with different screen sizes, you can use the other parameter called min width. Okay, so imagine that you want to make min width 600. No, 600, maybe it's 800. Okay, so this one, its minimum width is 800, so the space available is going to be reduced. So the two remaining images are going to try to take this space available, and since they both are filled, I mean, they are going to be equally. Okay, so what happens if we tell the second image to have a minimum width of, let's say, 800 as well? Okay, now the space available is very small. So what if we also add a minimum width to the third one? No. Okay, yeah, now we have a horizontal orientation. Okay, so if the minimum width is higher than the space available, they will go to the right. Okay, but if we change this group to auto, orientation auto, it's going to be horizontal, okay, but in case it doesn't fit, it will go to the next line, okay, you see. So this is very useful for creating responsive designs. Oh, Sonny, hi, I didn't see you here. Hi, I'm happy to see you. Thank you for sharing. um, how do you feel about the new changes on Doyo? Do you like them? Okay, let's see. Well, let's remove this and let's try now with text, okay? Let's have a new text here. And thank you. I mean, we are going to change, I mean, every week or every 2 weeks. I mean, it's not final. I mean, we added the events, the new events management, the content tree and everything, but we still want to make it easier. And you'll see, I mean, we don't want these windows to see so JSON. So we will, I mean, transform those things so that are going to be more, like a property section without the JSON style, okay? And you will see next in the following weeks. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about text. Here you can select and you can add a text. For I'm demo text, for example. Okay, so what if you want to add multi-language to your project? Okay, so this is just a text content, but you see this plus button. So if you click here and then you expand it, then you can add different languages. Okay, so the default language is the one that your users are going to see in case their browser is in some language that you haven't defined in your project. Okay, so for example, you can add Spanish, ES, and let's say so texto de demostración. Okay, so now I have this text in 2 languages, in Spanish and in default. I normally use English by default. Okay, so in my project, if there are some users from Spain or Mexico or Argentina and they have the browser in Spanish, they will see the Spanish text. Okay, but if some user from I don't know, from the States or from Finland or from Germany, and they have like German in their browser, since they cannot find German here, they will see the default text, okay, in English. Okay, so well, you can also change like the font size. You can add like 70. But in case, here's a recommendation. Okay, I normally for web projects I don't use the font size property. Okay, because for websites you might use 70, for example, and you will think that this is big enough, but not too big in your website. But then if you open that website from a mobile device, from the iPhone or a smartphone, it will be super big, okay, because it's going to use absolute pixels. Okay, so that's not what you really want to do. Okay, normally if you create this big text for a title, you want to fit every screen and look like a title in every screen. Okay, so instead of using font size, you can use the style property and use the title 1. Okay, which we should have a title 0 or something to make it bigger, but okay, I guess we will have that soon. Okay, but the thing is that if you use these presets, then every browser has its own size for the title 1, the title 2, and the title 3. Okay, so if you use a title size, it will be big enough in your web browser, in your PC, but it will be the perfect size also in a mobile browser. Okay, so I would recommend to use styling. Well, then you can change the color. Here let's talk about colors. Well, you have here all the colors in your palette. Okay, and why don't we use color codes here? I mean, instead of using the hexadecimal code here, we prefer only to use preset colors. So if you want to add colors to your project, you need to go here to settings, to style, and then colors. So you should add all the colors here in this palette. Okay, for example, if you want to add yellow, in case you know the code for yellow, you can just click on this symbol, then use 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Then you will have this color picker here, and now you can add the yellow color. So you can go back to view 2, click on this text, and you will find your new color here. Okay, but well, I don't really recommend to use the name of the color like yellow, green, gray. Okay, I think it's easier if instead of using this code, you use something like titles. Okay, go back to view 2, titles. So this is my titles color. Or if you are using like buttons, create one color for buttons, another color for backgrounds, or for options backgrounds. I mean, use the name of the purpose of that color. Okay, so that's easier, because imagine that you are developing your project and for some of your customers, and then after creating the project, they don't really like the style and they want to change some colors, or they would prefer to have the titles in a different color. Okay, so it will make more sense if you just change the code here, or the color, than creating a new color called brown and then go to every view in your project and change all the colors and now use brown. Okay, or you could keep calling that color yellow even if it's green. Okay, but for me it makes more sense to use, I mean, the purpose, like titles, background, or something like that. Okay, okay, so what else? Well, you can add for every component. This is new. You can add comments like this is the title text. Okay, so this is only a comment for you. Okay, so in case you open the project like in 3 months and you don't remember why you put that text here, you can add some comment. Okay, only as a reminder for you. Oh, thank you, Sonny. Yeah, this is what we are trying to do. I mean, make the interface, I mean, the power is the same. Okay, because we've been working only on the interface lately, because I mean, it was already powerful. I mean, it will be more powerful in the future, but we wanted to focus on making it easier to use, because a lot of people were leaving Producer because they found it difficult to learn. I mean, you know that it wasn't that difficult, but I mean, for starters, it was a bit difficult. So yeah, so this is why we are working on the UI. Okay, so well, we have these comments. What else? Well, we also have all the components have this option called if. Okay, so this is a condition. Okay, today we're not going to talk about references or variables and values, but you can make some components only visible in case something happened. Okay, so in case the user clicked on some button and then you stored some value in some place, you could make this component visible only if the value in that place is 3 or is 10 or is something like that. Okay, so you can make conditions. Okay, we will talk about this in the next chapter. What else? Well, there's another important thing that is common to every component, which is this parameter, which is called position. Okay, let's add a new image here, or well, not an image but an icon. Okay, so icon could be, for example, an arrow. This is a preset of buttons. No, it's too small maybe. Okay, we have this icon. Okay, so now it's, I mean, since all the content is arranged vertically, okay, now this icon is here is, I mean, following in the same sequence. Okay, but it's what if I want to make it floating on the page? So you can add this property called position, and instead of relative, just absolute. Okay, so now it's floating over all the content. Okay, so now you can move it and realign. For example, if you want to keep this arrow here always in this corner, you can do it with the position absolute. Okay, so here you have some more images. You'll see that it's always here on the corner. And if it's inside a group, imagine that this group is height, for example, let's use, you can use also this option BH, which is the whole size. No, well, the visor is not, let's use 800 for example. Okay, no, the thing is that I want all this content inside this group. Okay, okay, now I have this group, which is, I could use 100%, I guess. 100 pH. Okay, this is the standard size for this resolution. Okay, and now I have this icon. Okay, here I just wanted to show you. I think there's a problem with the visor. Let's add a scroll to this. Okay, now. Yeah. Okay, this will work in the website, but there's something with the this icon is not taking part of the scroll, but I don't know, the visor has some error here. Okay, and this icon should stay here on the I don't know why. Yeah, okay. Okay, maybe it's because it was inside the scroll. Okay, but you see that now you can have content behind my arrow. Okay, so what else? Well, I'm not going to talk about all the different properties because I want you to try, and I mean, I think the best way to learn is about trying. Okay, because if I explain everything, then you will forget, but if you start practicing, then you will see that you will learn a lot of things. Okay, so imagine that I already have my project, so the last step will be publishing my project. Okay, so now for website projects, we will need to export to website. Then you will get, after some minutes, you will get a zip file that you can upload it to your server. Okay, or I think it's going to be maybe next month that we will allow you to publish on our website, on our server. Okay, so it's going to be super easy. You will just click on this button. Okay, and in some minutes your website will be available and will be public. Okay, so well, I think this is all for today. I mean, today in this first chapter, I wanted to give you an overview about all the power of Doyo, all the things you can do, and I wanted to start giving you some basics so that you can start arranging content on the screen, on the page. Okay, so next week we will start making our project more interactive. Okay, so we will give our users the opportunity to interact with the website. We will start using some logic. We will start using some what we call references, which is like virtual boxes where we will store information. Okay, so we will start using that. So next week, everything is going to start being super interesting, and you will start finding out all the power of Doyo. Okay, then we will keep learning about functions and about databases and more things. So every week we are going to add a new knowledge to this series of webinars, so that after some chapters you are going to master Doyo and you are going to be able to create professional software with this super amazing tool. Okay, yeah, I think that's all for today. And before ending this webinar, I just want to give you a promotional code. Okay, I'm not sure if I said that at the beginning. Okay, but well, you can use Doyo for free. Okay, if you create a project for free, after you publish it, you will have this bar on the bottom with some links to Doyo. Okay, like made with Doyo. So we will add some publicity of ourselves. Okay, in your project. So if you want to remove that advertisement, you can go premium. Okay, it's quite affordable. Okay, you can start from $24. Okay, this will include hosting and on all your project, all the functionality and everything. Okay, so you can start with $24 a month. Okay, and then if you want to create one website but also one mobile app, then you can go and use the startup plan, which will include 2 hours of our time. Okay, so we can help you developing your backend or things like that. Okay, and then if you want to grow bigger and you want us to help you 10 hours a month, or if you want to be able to download the source code of your project, you can pick the reseller plan. Okay, but for most of you, the basic plan is going to be enough. Okay, so normally you will need to start paying once you finish your project and you make it public, because you will want to remove this advertisement from Doyo, right? So it might take 1 month or 2 months for you to finish your project maybe. Okay, so you will need to start paying in 2 months. Okay, but if you do it today or if you do it in October, okay, you will get 50% discount, okay, for the next 12 months. So if you use the code October 22, wait, let me add it here. Oh. Sorry. This one, October 22. Okay, let's make it bigger. Okay, if you use this code October 22, you will get 50% for the next 12 months. Okay, so if you are going to end your project in 1 month, okay, you will have discount, 50% discount for the other 11 months. Okay, so you are going to save a lot of money. So please, you only have some days left in October, so it's a great opportunity for you to save money. Okay, so I would recommend to use the October 22 promotional code. Click here on upgrade and you will be able to use that code here. can add your code here, October 22, okay, and then you will get the discount. Okay, so well, I think that's all for today. Sorry, I didn't read your message. Look forward to next lesson. Be sure to tweet Doyo live stream showing this. No, I think I tweeted the both. Let me check that. In the official channel, I think I tweeted both. Let me check. Yeah, look. The thing is that this is a Twitter thing. I put the English link here and the Spanish link, but it seems like Twitter just made this preview only of the last link. Okay, but I take care of that in the next tweet. Okay, but we use both. Okay, and I will do it with more time. I mean, we did it. I think this was today or yesterday. I think today. Okay, so we will try to plan the webinars on Monday. Okay, so we will start. I mean, sending the links every day. Okay. and yeah, I think that's all for today. So in the past, I used to do some webinars, and some of them were almost 2 hours long. Okay, so in this series, we are going to try to make it only in 1 hour. Okay, because that's easier for people to watch. So yeah, next week we talk about references. I mean, for all of you who already know about Coducer and have used Coducer in the past, I mean, these webinars are going to be, the interface is going to be different. Okay, but all the logic and all the power is going to be the same. Okay, but I'm going to focus these webinars in a web project. Okay, so web projects are like mobile app projects. I mean, all the methodology and the philosophy is going to be very similar, but there are going to be some new things. There are some things that are different. Okay, since websites are newer for us, we started doing this in last December. Okay, we make the language a bit more modern. Okay, so it's going to be more dynamic than mobile apps. Okay, so the things we did for website projects, in the next months we'll take that to the mobile app projects. Okay, so you will see that the web projects are going to be super cool in terms of the dynamic functionality. It's going to be super cool. Okay, so these webinars are going to be based on a web project. So yeah, so that's all for today. Thanks to everyone that assisted live to this webinar, and also thanks to all the people watching this on YouTube in the future. Okay, so yeah, see you next week, and thanks for everything again. Bye.